Hey, welcome. Thanks for watching. I'm going to make a Morel risotto today. If you don't know what a risotto is, it's basically just an Italian style short grain rice. I'm going to put some morels in it. I have some pheasant backs in the fridge I was going to use with it, but my girlfriend said she'd rather have the morel, so that's what we're going to do is the Morel mushrooms with it. I found about 20 blacks yesterday. Not a big score, but enough for a nice little meal. You have to forgive my outfit. I know it's not a kitchen attire, but I just got off work, so you kind of work with what you got, you know. Anyway, let's get rolling. All right, for your ingredients, they're pretty simple. We're going to use a short grain rice. A barrio is the only rice for risotto. If you're using another kind of rice, I don't know what you're making, but I guarantee you it's not risotto. Some butter, an onion. I'm going to use some shallots for the actual risotto. The onion's going to go for the stock. Chicken stock, morel mushrooms. I added some baby bella mushrooms just because I didn't have quite enough morels and I wanted some more mushrooms, a carrot, a couple stalks of celery, Parmesan cheese. I'm also going to add some Romero and Asiago just because I had it in the fridge, but Parmesan would be fine. Salt, pepper, olive oil, and a dry white wine. If you're going to cook with any kind of wine, always make it something drinkable. Don't cook with something that you wouldn't drink because the flavor profile is not really going to change. So that's everything you need, and let's get cracking. Warm up this chicken stock because you don't want to put a cold stock into your risotto as you cook it. It's going to take too long to heat back up and it's just not going to be right. You're going to throw in your carrots, your celery, just in chunks, and at very minimum, like, you know, a quarter of an onion at least. And then just let that come to a slow simmer. All right, real quick, but one thing I did forget as I'm sitting here waiting for this stock to boil is I realized that I didn't have any garlic in my ingredients list. So right here is about 3 cloves of garlic. And I don't know how I forgot that. It's a flavor that's irreplaceable. I'd have been eating my risotto like, what did I forget? But I'm glad I remembered it while the stock was boiling, and now we're gonna get to it. Our stock has come to a boil, so now I'm gonna turn that down just to keep it hot, and we're gonna go ahead and start our risotto. Our cast iron skillet is hot. We're gonna lay down a drizzle of olive oil. And then throw in the shallots. Say hello.
Hello, people.
Hello, peoples. All right, once the onions start to turn translucent, we're gonna dump in our garlic. You wanna cook that just until it becomes fragrant, but you don't wanna burn it. And then we're gonna dump in the rice.
Extra. I'm sure she'll want something else still.
You want to saute the rice until it becomes translucent, but not brown it. Once it starts getting translucent, but not brown, then we're going to add our white wine. I know you're thinking, Paul, that looks a little bit brown, but it's just the onions. I overcooked those a smidget, but that'll be all right. The rice I did not overcook. Do not brown your rice. Just lightly simmer it till it's translucent white. This is one of those meals that you really kind of got to stand over. Not unlike a roux if you're cooking something Cajun. Now that that's done, we're going to add white wine. Dry white wine. Say about half a cup. Now once most of the alcohol cooks out of that, or most of the way down, you'll start smelling, it won't be quite as strong of an alcohol smell. It'll be really strong when you put it in there, and then it won't be as strong after a minute, maybe minute and a half, and that's when you want to start adding your chicken stock, slowly. So like a ladle full at a time. The real trick to this is just keep adding your chicken stock really slowly and keep cooking it down real slow. And then after 10 minutes or so, 8 minutes, start tasting it and kind of see where you're at. And you're looking for a soft rice with a very slightly crunchy middle. Not quite crunchy, but just a little tart still. And then that's when you start adding your rest of your ingredients. So while that's cooking, we're gonna come up here and we're gonna start, once we're about halfway cooked, we're gonna start cooking our Morel mushrooms. Okay, now that our pan is good and hot, we're gonna hit it with a tiny drizzle of olive oil. Maybe a tablespoon or so. And then we're going to drop our mushrooms in. Now we're just going to lightly saute those until they become tender. All right, our mushrooms are mostly sauteed. So we're going to drop about, let's say, a tablespoon of butter. And then just kind of stir that up. Alright, after it's mostly cooked and it's just a little soft in the center, you're going to want to add about 2 tablespoons of butter and stir that up. It'll kind of make it more creamy. What I thought I had on film, but I didn't because my battery died, is right here is where you add the Parmesan. You're going to want to add about, say much, which would be, I guess, 3 or 4 ounces. If you like cheese, you can add a little more, but it's about what I add, so put that in now. Now is also the time to hit it with a little bit of salt and pepper. Where it's just creamy, where you can just kind of pull through it and still have it soft, that is when you want to add your Morel mushrooms. Add whatever your favorite garnish is. In this case, I'm going to use some fresh Italian parsley. And that is that. Morel risotto. Bon appetit.